Welcome back. We can move on from dogs to the urban fox, the roe deer and the tawny owl because they all feature in the British Wildlife Photography Awards. Founded in 2009, the awards are open to both professional and amateur photographers and highlight British biodiversity, species and habitats. This year, the judges had the mammoth task of evaluating over 13,000 entries to award prizes. I'm delighted to say that we have two winners in the studio with us now. Lewis Newman won in the animal portraits category with a beautiful picture of a red fox entitled Sleeping with Dandelions. And Billy Evans-Freke is the RSPB Young British Wildlife Photographer of the Year with a stunning picture called Branching Out. Well, welcome to you both. Billy, how did you take that picture, which I believe is of a little tawny owl?
Yeah, I'd always wanted to photograph a tawny owl, and I knew that they were around our house in the local woodland. And so one night I was out with my camera and I heard a blackbird alarm call, which is like a sign that there's definitely a tawny owl doing something in that woodland. So I went out into the wood and I was tracking down that call. And then whilst I was looking for the adult, and then I suddenly heard a squeak behind me, so I turned around, and after about 10 minutes of looking, there was a tiny ball of fluff in the top of a tree. I just snapped a few shots.
What time of day are we talking about?
Dusk, or just before dusk. So.
OK, but the photograph is good and clear. What sort of camera are you using? I mean, is it quite a sophisticated piece of kit?
Yeah, it's quite... it's a Canon R6. It's a mirrorless camera, and it's quite good at low light, which was good for this sort of picture. And then I had a long 600mm telephoto lens, which is quite good for the long-distance subjects I was photographing.
Have you done a lot of wildlife photography?
I think it's about 5 years I've been slowly getting into wildlife photography and improving my skills.
Yeah, and you do feel that, do you, that you're getting better all the time?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think 5 years ago I was photographing little kind of insects and plants in the garden, and now I've found a tawny owl, so, yeah.
And you are studying photography at A-level.
Yes.
Do you have an intention to take this much further? Do you see yourself as a professional photographer?
Well, that is the dream, yeah, hopefully.
Really? To be a wildlife photographer?
Yeah, hopefully.
Have you had any opportunity to photograph anything more exotic than is on offer in the British Isles? Have you been able to go abroad and shoot anything?
No, I've kind of mainly focused on the British wildlife that we have around us on our doorstep.
But maybe in the future we'll have you filming whales or, I don't know, wildcats in Spain or something.
Yeah.
Lewis, a beautiful photograph, yours. It's a vixen, isn't
yes,
it?
Yeah.
And what those are dandelion
seeds.
Spores, seeds that are flying around. How did you get that picture?
Yeah, so it was basically, I was really busy at work that year, so I had to focus my time on like local wildlife as such and get down there as much as I could. And yeah, this particular vixen, the area that I'd go down, I'd sort of know their routines and stuff like that, and she would actually sit away from the den site at the time. So yeah, every time I'd go down there, she'd be in a similar sort of position, and it would be sort of amongst the wildflowers. And then, yeah, as the wildflowers sort of started to grow, that's when it sort of started to, give me the idea of her being amongst them. Or, yeah, when the dandelions started to, grow their seeds, that was when I sort of thought about the idea of, because she was getting sort of covered in them. But,
You didn't stage it, or you didn't blow those seeds at her?
Oh, no. You couldn't get anywhere close to her, like, even if you wanted to. So, it was, the thing is, there's like a small amount of time that you could get it, because obviously once the seeds have gone, they've gone for good then, and she was only in one particular area. So there was like a limited amount of, time that she could have been covered in them sort of seeds.
And when you see a frame like that, do you know straight away that you have potentially a winner, an exceptional photograph?
I mean, it was it was definitely out the ordinary for me, and it was something that I'd never taken before. And as soon as I took the photo, I took a photo of the back of my camera and sent it straight to my partner, because, I was super proud of it. So, hopefully it would have been a winner, but, just had to wait and see sort of thing.
patience must be the virtue that's most required of a wildlife photographer. Is that true?
Yeah, no, definitely. And putting the hours in, you know, that's probably one of the bigger things, you know, even just going out and trying to find new locations and stuff like that. You know, it's not just, going out with your camera, it's putting in the hours to find different locations and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I mean, would you have any idea how many photographs you took to get one as good as that? I'm trying to encourage people who take photographs and never get anything like as good as that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just nice to be out in nature, you know. It's it's like, for me, it's like a calming sort of thing, because it's not my full-time sort of thing to do. I'm a plumbing and heating engineer, so yeah, it's sort of, it's the thing that calms me down. Like, I can have my own little time in nature. So yeah, but I mean, it takes thousands of photos for sure.
Do your mates who are also plumbers rib you at all for your hobby?
I mean, at the beginning, you know, it was I don't see. Yeah, I'm like the only one within my sort of group that does wildlife photography. But yeah, animals for me have been, like a close thing to my heart since like I've been young. So,
Billy, we talked about your aptitude for photography, but do you feel very strongly about wildlife?
Yeah, in particular British wildlife, I'd say. I just think, very important to show people the wildlife that we have on our doorstep.
David Attenborough is busy promoting British wildlife at the moment. Do you find people like that a big influence on you?
Yeah, definitely. David Attenborough is definitely someone that I have looked up to and do look up to, yeah.
What might you want to photograph in future? Your prize was sponsored by the RSPB, but I think you didn't have to take a bird. But are you particularly interested in birds?
Yeah, I think birds, especially around where I live, there's a lot of birds, so I'm often photographing birds. But a next subject that I'd love to photograph is an otter. I'm hoping to go up to the Isle of Mull soon to photograph, or track down and photograph otters, which would be amazing. That would be amazing. And what will you do with the prize money? Well, at the moment, I've been researching kind of wide-angle lenses, because in the competition there's been a lot of amazing kind of habitat-style shots where they've used a much wider lens, so I want to experiment with that a bit more. Congratulations to you both, and you're going to bring a lot of pleasure to a lot of people. Thank you, Billy Evans-Freke and Lewis Newman, and they'll bring a lot of pleasure because the British Wildlife Photography Awards tour the United Kingdom in a travelling exhibition.